Yo! Here we are. We're back. It's a Tuesday evening.
Yeah,
How is everybody?
I think everybody is excited
Excited
for
about what?
this coming Friday.
Is it? Do you think everybody's gonna go out, lim kopi, lim beer, catch up with friends?
I think quite a fair amount would be.
Is it?
Yeah, but I think I will avoid lah. I don't quite like crowd. I probably will stay at home first, wait till everybody has enough of their fun, then I'll go out.
I have two clients who
Mm.
own restaurants. They say they are fully packed, and this is
Wow.
only Tuesday. They are fully booked for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, partly because of social distancing. There's only so many people you can fit into the place. So
And I
everybody,
think, yeah,
uh,
I think because Father's Day is coming up on Sunday.
I don't
So
know if it's one of those days that people. I don't think whether it's Father's Day. Maybe Father's Day will just be an excuse. Anyway, if
yes,
you've just
anyway.
joined us, if you've just joined us this Tuesday evening, please say hi, say hello. Don't be quiet, so we know you're out there. We're not like Superman. We don't have X-ray vision.
Hi Terence, I see that you're watching with us. Thank you for joining us. Now, before we invite our guests, please do us a favor. Help us to like and share this broadcast so that, whatever we share, whatever our guest Kenneth shares later, we can spread it on and bless more people. So
Yep.
help us to hit the share button.
Share, 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 share. A big welcome to everyone. Whoever is here, say hi once more. Welcome to the Rich Conversation. We are your hosts, David ECD, and
Louis Ho.
our focus is all about how you and I can become richer. I want to be richer. Luis, what about you?
Of course. Who doesn't want to?
All of us want to be richer, right? We all have dreams and goals that we're after. Luis, what is one of your dreams?
What is one of my dreams? Travel around the world without having to think about when I have to come back.
Oh, are you going to be one of those? If ever another pandemic hits, you're going to go Ireland like Matt Damon.
Not really lah. I will stay here because my family roots are here. I'm pretty close to my family, so
Cool.
I don't think I'll do that. Yeah, maybe like Matt Damon have enough money,
Bring the whole family.
Yes. You're right.
Bring the whole family. Right.
Yes.
Anyway, today we're going to have Kenneth on, and I think the reason why we invited Kenneth is because to be richer, besides thinking about how to grow your money or how to make more money from your property, I think it's important that you must consider how you can save as much money as possible on your property, because the biggest cost to your property is the mortgage payment. Right? So we want to thank everyone for joining us today. We have with us Kenneth Toh. Kenneth is a professional mortgage broker with Key Quest Mortgage. So let's put our hands together and welcome Kenneth. Yay!
Hi,
Hi,
Kenneth.
everyone. Hi, David.
Hey,
Hello. Thanks for having me here
Hi.
today. Hi.
Hey,
How are you guys?
how's everything?
Good, busy as well. With
Ooh.
Friday coming up, with the circuit breaker lifting on some measures, I think good news for your industry as well, because I think you can start bringing your customer to see properties.
Yeah. Hopefully, today we have a very quiet audience. Maybe, but the restaurants are not open today, right? Don't tell me everybody's out. Go drink.
Yeah.
Ready. All right. So, okay, Kenneth, thank you for joining us. Once more, Kenneth is from Key Quest Mortgage. Today we've brought you on because we want to talk about the big subject matter on refinancing. All right. Can you give us a bit of background of yourself and share with us basically in simple layman's term, what is refinancing?
Sure. Maybe let me just bring up my slides, then I can do a quick introduction about us. Okay, so basically, I'm from Keycrest Mortgage. So basically, we are mortgage broker firm with more than 10 years of experience, and we don't just deal with residential property, we deal with commercial industrial property as well. So customers want to buy commercial industrial for investment, they can actually loan up to 90%. And last, we don't just do refinancing, we do new purchase, and we help customers to save some monies when they are doing refinancing as well.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe I can touch on a bit more on the interest rate, because I think all the audience might be very keen, because interest rate has been dropping over the last 3 months, and everybody is on the hype to do refi. Why? Because as we all know that US Fed actually has slashed their rates to 0%, and thereafter actually SIBOR actually collapsed. So in January, the SIBOR interest rate package was actually 3 months SIBOR was at 1.8%. But as of today, we see that from 1.8%, it has actually dropped to 0.54%, which is quite a huge deep down in terms of package. And that's why everybody is actually choosing to refinance. And now in today's market, the fixed rate you're looking at is about 1.5. And for cyber package for completed property is 1.19, which is considered very, very low over the last 5 years. And for building under construction is about 1.25%. So this is what is happening in today's market in terms of the interest rate.
Okay.
I just asked one of my clients today also. So he was refinancing, and then for about a 2%. Now he's only paying about 1.06. So he was super happy.
Yes, I think I have a batch of customers who actually refinance in January, and their interest rate is amazing low, because back then in January, right, I suggested them to look at SIBOR. So back then, because the bank spread was only 0.15%. So imagine today, SIBOR is at 0.54. So all in, their interest rate is only about 0.69%. So it's extremely low in this.
Kenneth, we must talk about the elephant in the room. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I remember a few banks, we don't want to mention the names of the banks, right? Offering about 1.38, right? Then a lot of people refinance. Then suddenly there was this big hoo-ha in the newspaper. People were unhappy. They were saying this is unethical because the banks have this floor rate that they from 0.155 they pushed it way up, right? So there was a big hoo-ha. We want to hear your take on it.
I think it's because in Singapore market we haven't seen a banks taking such an action before. So I would say this is the first time. And I think what happened was that a lot of consumer, like what you say, they're unhappy. So they decided to raise it up to our government body and say that how can a bank do this? How can the banks do that? And as our MAS have to step in to say a few words with the banks, and they actually took some action after what MAS have suggested to so-called cool off the market, and the banks kind of I would say they actually give some leeway to not increasing the so-called the bank spread. So in the end, I think is in Singapore we are in a very safe environment. If there is any banks who are pulling a stand, which is only one bank itself, then I think consumer will be unhappy and they will make some comment or feedback to the regulation. So that's what is happening. So I think it's a very fair thing that in Singapore, your voice is always heard. So what I can say is that if a bank is trying to pull a stand out, and that is what is going to happen, because like what you like, it's like a teacher or principal step into the classroom and say, hey, Mr. Teacher, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, or they won't say you can't, but you say that maybe you want to try a different approach of talking to the students. You know, the students have been making some noise. I think we should also hear their feedback.
I'm not advocating what the banks did, but in it was in the contract, right? They
Yes.
were advertising what was within their right, it was in the contract.
Correct.
Now, I don't want people to misunderstand, we're just trying to also kind of balance things up here. It was in the contract. So I think it's important for the audience to realize when you enter into a contract, you should read the fine print, correct?
Yes,
Now,
that's very important.
we want to ask you a few other things. What is the historical low for mortgage loan rates in Singapore? Do you think it will be repeated in the near future?
What we see the lowest, I would say maybe over the last 10 years, what we saw was in actually after Lehman Brothers, 2009 to 2014, SIBOR was only at 0.3, 0.4%. That was actually at a low, all-time low. So when we will see this cycle repeating, I would say, yes, maybe there's a potential for SIBOR to go down to 0.3 or 0.4%. But what we see is that the banks are very smart nowadays. So when you reduce the SIBOR to 0. When the SIBOR came down from in January from 1.8% 3-month SIBOR to today 0.54, so the banks are increasing the spread. So maybe I can show an example so that everyone can better understand what I'm trying to say. Oh, okay. So what do I mean by bank spread? So banks has a margin they want to earn and plus a SIBOR rate. So technically, it will equal to the effective rate of interest they are paying. So example, what we see at today's market, the bank spread is at 0.65 plus 3-month SIBOR, which give us about 1.19. So in the earlier phase in January, some of my clients actually secured a bank spread of 0.15%. So technically, they are only paying 0.69. So will we see another low as what we see in 2009 to 2014? I don't think it will be similar because now the bank, what they are doing is that every time SIBOR is going down, they are increasing the bank spread. Like from January to now, they really increased about 50 basis points. So it's actually quite a huge jump in terms of increasing spread. So what I think is that the banks are smarter now. So basically, they want to basically earn more as well. So I don't think we will go to such low interest rate like 0.5 all in or 0.6 or 0.7. So we see that SIBOR is going down, but the banks are increasing the spread. So it's in today's market, it's more like a balanced equation. I think it's within this 1% plus region, what clients can enjoy.
So really, people have to think about what they want, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you wait too long for it to go to thinking the bottom will never come. You wait, then suddenly it goes up again, right?
Yeah. I would think it's something like properties as well. You never know when is the rock bottom. So same thing for refinancing. What we see over the last 3 months is if you are still continue to wait for SIBOR to go down, yes, SIBOR eventually there's a chance for it to go down. But the banks are smart nowadays; they will actually increase the spread. So for customers who actually secured a refinancing earlier, they are actually better off to customers who are securing later.
Maybe Kenneth, we can like go into first showing people how does refinancing actually refinancing our property save us money. Then we can go even deeper, asking some other questions. Do you have
So
like
maybe
some
I can
examples?
share with some case study. Let me just okay. So before I go into the case study, I just want to share with everyone also, like if you have questions, how this loan deferment works. So our government has actually introduced this loan deferment, how to defer your installment for the next 6 to 7 months. So if you like to find out more, basically you can just take out your mobile phone now, just scan on this QR code. It will bring you to our website. We share with you all the necessary details on how loan deferment works. And also you can actually apply it straight away from there.
Okay. Maybe we leave the screen on for a while so that let's bring the QR code out again so that people
Okay.
have some time, because there's some lag between our sharing and when people see our
Sure.
live. So they have some time to scan the QR code. Meanwhile, let's welcome those people who have joined us. If you have just joined us, well, we are having a rich conversation with Kenneth Toh from KeyQuest. So we see that we have Wendy, Angeline, Yang Jun, Xiao Yu, Dan Sko. Welcome to our show today. Hi, everyone. Hi.
Hi.
Hey, come. All right.
So,
Kenneth, the case studies show us how we can save money.
yes.
Hi, Dennis. Wow, quite a lot of friends coming up.
All your supporters?
Yeah, I think they saw the post online, then they say drop by and say hi.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So share with us how does refinancing our property save us money? You have some case study to share with us, right?
Yes, that's right. So let me just bring out the case studies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are some additional information for waiver of TDSR and MSR. Okay, let's skip through this. Okay, so this is one of the common scenario we see in the market and how we advise client. So Mr. Tan actually has a 4-bedroom HDB flat with an outstanding loan of 300K, and his loan is actually with HDB, which is about 2.6 per annum. So he actually like to consider to refinance for a lower interest rate. So maybe the audience can make a guess how much will Mr. Tan save if today he actually do a refinance to a bank loan. Okay, in terms of per annum, maybe you guys can make a comment. You will save, example, 500, 600, or 1,000.
What's the percentage? What's the new interest rate?
Okay, the new interest rate is about 1.6%. So it's nearly about 1% difference.
1%.
Yeah. So maybe the audience can actually make a guess and post on the live chat and make a guess how much will Mr. Tan save if he does a refinancing.
Yeah, we need the audience to come in because my mathematical brain today is a bit slow.
I think they're doing the calculation now.
Yeah.
Crunch the numbers. See who get the first guess. Get
Any prize?
Get
Kenneth,
copy with Kenneth.
I will give the correct answer a free coffee, Starbucks. I'll send a Starbucks over to the person.
Wow.
Delivery some more.
Well, when I say Starbucks, there's people commenting already.
Awesome.
Come with a price tag.
Yeah. Okay, anybody has the answer? If not, we need to move on. Anybody has a guess? How much will you save if you now refinance 1.6% per annum? No, any guesses? Going once, going twice, going thrice. All right, Kenneth, the copy is for Luis.
Okay. So I say my Starbucks this round. Okay, so after doing a refinance, the difference of let's say if you go for a fix of 1.5, so the interest difference is about 1.1. So per annum, Mr. Tan actually save about 3,003. So imagine Mr. Tan go for a 5 years fixed rate package, which is 1.5 for 5 years. He will actually save about 15K over 5 years. So this is the amount of money Mr. Tan will save by just doing a refinance from a HDB loan of 2.6% to a bank loan of 1.5% fixed for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can buy a lot of Starbucks from that amount.
That you can buy a
Starbucks coffee. Okay, that's a great example for HDB, but 300,000 in Singapore market for 2020, I must say is a bit on the lower side, right? We all wish we had a bank loan of 300,000, but usually the quantum is higher. Do you have a higher quantum example for us?
Yes, I have another example is for a private property.
Okay.
Okay. So just for everyone information, if you're buying a property today, right, the max loan tenor is actually 30 years for private and for HDB is 25. But surprisingly, a lot of my customers didn't know that for refinancing, you can actually go up to age of 75 years. So
Yeah.
technically, for your HDB, instead of 25, you can stretch up to 30 years. And for a condo, instead of 30 years, you can go up to 35 years. So it makes quite a fit difference for some customers.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah. So okay, same thing, Mr. Tan, who have a
Is
housing loan of 800K, and this time around is a condo, which I think this is a good benchmark for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
his interest rate is about 2.2, and his current loan tenor is 25 years. Current installment is about 3,400 plus.
Yeah.
So I think you like to reduce the monthly repayment by doing a refinancing to save on interest rate, as well as to better manage the cash flow to reduce the monthly installment.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
how much
maybe,
does he save?
sorry.
How much does he save?
Okay. So how much did Mr. Tan save this round? Okay. So now if you go for a floating package, maybe pegged to SIBOR at 1.2, the new monthly installments becomes about 3088. So technically, it's close to $400 a month. Okay. So over the next 2 years, if he does a refinancing, he will save about 16,000 based on the
Wow.
Wow.
800K loan amount.
That's
Wow.
awesome. I mean, we have to put things in perspective. This is money you are genuinely saving.
Yes, that's right.
If you don't refinance, you're locked into the old rate.
Yes.
So this is money you will genuinely save. That's number one. I think number two, the key thing is you are saving money during a crisis period. You never know why and when you will need that money.
Mm.
Right? Save that money, keep it in an emergency fund. Don't spend it. Don't go and buy the new branded stuff. Just save the money, right? Because you never know when you need that money for the rainy day. So if you've just joined us, we want to thank you for joining us. We are with Kenneth. We are learning how we can save lots of money on our property by refinancing. So if you've just joined us, share this program with as many people as possible, because there are many people who need to learn that they can refinance and save lots of money, especially during this crisis period, right? This pandemic period. The money will always come in useful at a given in the future. So Kenneth, we want to ask you, right? You've shared with us the historical low. You've shared with us what is refinancing does for us. Now, from your experience, how and when is the best time to refinance?
I would say now is actually the best time to SIBOR is actually at an all-time low of 0.54. So if you continue to wait for SIBOR to go down, or you continue to wait for another banks to come up with a promotion, there is a possibility it won't happen. So
Yeah.
therefore, maybe a good time. I wouldn't say there is a best time, but the earlier you do your refinancing, the more potential you save. Like if you are opting for SIBOR is all in is about 1.19 as of today. But if you're opting for a fixed rate, technically it's about 1.5. So yeah, I think now might be the best time for you to do a refinancing.
And yeah, I mean, if they can, I think they should, right? It helps them save money, lots of money. Okay, so if you've just joined us, we are having a rich conversation with Kenneth Toh, this David ECD, and Louis Ho from Rich Property. We are passionate about helping everyone be richer. So listen, we know you're out there, you're listening to us. If you want to be richer, I want you to type, because it's important that we want it, right? I want you to type, I want to be richer. Now, in a few minutes' time, we'll be coming to the Q&A portion of our rich conversation. Kenneth is with us. If you have any questions about mortgage, refinancing, if you have questions about mortgage property loans, please feel free to ask Kenneth in a little while. Now, Kenneth, you know, the whole fiasco with a few banks happened because people didn't read the fine print.
Yeah.
Times we sign contracts or we do refinancing, the bank representative talk to us and we kind of understand what they're saying, but we sometimes, we're not really paying attention to everything,
All right.
right? So what do you think are the clauses and conditions we should look out for?
Okay. So there is quite a few things you should consider when you refinance as well. What are the points you need to look out for, and what are things you probably want to take note? Okay, maybe I can just pull in my slides. Okay, so for refinancing, things you probably want to take note when you do a refinancing is that what are the costs involved. So when you do a refinance from bank A to bank B, what are the things you need to take note? So for refinancing, there will be a legal fee involved, which is usually about 1,008 to 2,000, depending on the outstanding loan amount. Second, fees you need to take note is the valuation. So it will also be arranged depending on the current market value of the property, which is $300 to $400. And the good thing is that for new purchase, the banks are not allowed to give out any perks or subsidy. But when you do a refinancing, is that every time the banks are actually giving you a cash rebate or a legal fee subsidy from the range of 2,000 to 2,005, depending on your outstanding loan amount. So this subsidies amount can be actually used to cover the legal as well as the valuation fee. Okay, and another thing you probably want to take note is that most of the bank's packages are locked in 2 years, but for refinancing, although the banks are giving you such perk or legal fee subsidies or cash rebate, just take note the clawback period is actually 3 years, so it doesn't go in line with your lock-in period at times.
Okay.
So the next few very important thing you want to ask yourself, will you be selling off the property within the next 2-3 years? Because a lot of people wants to refinance and save the money now, but they also have the second thought that when maybe after this whole COVID-19, they might want to sell off the property within the next 2-3 years. So what we usually advise client is to make sure that they have this special clause in the letter offer, which is waiver due to sale. So that means today, if you refinance your housing loan and potentially you are looking to sell off the property within the next 2-3 years. So this is one of the very important costs we will add in. Why? Because if you sell within lock-in, usually there will be a 1.5% penalty based on the outstanding amount. But with this clause, basically the banks will actually waive off the penalty fee of the 1.5. So imagine if your loan is 1 million. Without this clause, you have to pay additional 15K to the banks.
Good. Kenneth, let me come in a little while. Is this waiver due to sales clause, is it usually in the contract?
No, this is not a usual condition from the banks. Usually, we need to actually request it for the banks. So it's case basis for the banks to have this clause in the letter offer as well.
Will the banks readily give it?
So far, I would say I'm quite lucky. Most of the cases we managed to negotiate with the banks to have this clause for our clients who are looking to sell the property.
Okay. I think we need to pause there for a little while because some people may not have heard that. So I think if you're watching the program right now, what Kenneth is saying, usually when you refinance, you will not have this waiver due to sales clause. It's important that before if you're in the midst of negotiation, make sure the clause is in there, or maybe you want to talk to Kenneth, get them involved, say, look, can you make sure this clause is in there? So I think that's a big plus. I mean, if you say $1 million, I say 15,000. Hey, 15,000 is not kacang putih money, right? You can do stuff with it, right?
Yeah.
Come. So what else? What other things do they look out for?
Okay, so another thing is that some customer might want the flexibility that to be able to make lump sum repayment within the lock-in period.
Yeah.
So this is one of the clause that we also tailor to the client's needs. That if they share with us that Kenneth, can you tailor a package whereby we have the flexibility to make lump sum repayment. So there are packages available in the market which actually allows client to make partial repayment within the lock-in period as well.
Mm.
So this is a partial repayment clause, which is also not a standard clause on the contract, and we need to negotiate with the banks to get this clause in.
Mm.
Okay.
If not, then otherwise, usually what's the penalty if they were to do, like, can they, if they want to do it, let's say if this clause is not in and then they want to do it, can they do it, or like they are subject to some penalty?
Okay, so as long as they are within the lock-in period, right, usually the banks will have a penalty of 1.5% for partial repayment. So imagine you want to make 100K partial repayment, then that is about a penalty of 1,500.
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it all adds up.
Sorry?
It all adds up.
Yeah. So it's better for customers to be clear. If not, they can choose to make partial repayment after the lock-in period of 24 months or 36 months.
Mm.
Yeah.
Ooh. What else? What else? Come on, give us more tips.
Okay. So another thing is that just now when we were discussing about the refinancing, another very important thing is that whether you want to consider to stretch up the loan tenor to minimize the installment. So like what I was sharing earlier on, that when you do a refinancing for Mr. Tan, so how much you would actually save if you actually to stretch a loan tenor. So maybe I move back the slides a bit. Okay, so just now, this part which is very interesting. So Mr. Tan installment, right? If let's say it's still based on the 25 years, it's about 3470. So if he do a refinancing and stretch the loan tenor to 30 years, right, the installment actually reduced to 2647, which is close to about $800 over different.
Wow.
And a lot of client has this misconception that, oh, Kenneth, if I actually increase my loan tenor, isn't I paying more interest? Technically, yes, you're paying more interest. But look, example for Mr. Tan case, if he does a refinancing and stretch the loan tenor, the monthly cash flow probably free up about close to $800.
Yeah.
But in terms of additional interest rate for the next 24 months, he is only paying additional $123.
Yeah.
So if you weigh $800 a month over 2 years, that is about say 100 over K versus 123 for 24 months. So that is going to be quite a huge difference in terms of the cash flow. So sometimes customer weigh it might make sense because with this additional $800, they can actually have more liquidity in terms of their cash flow. And over 24 months, they only pay $123 more. So technically per month is not more than $10. It's lesser than $10 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is one of things people might want to look out for.
Yeah. How do they go about stretching the loan tenure? That means you just tell the bank that, okay, I want to stretch the loan tenure to 75?
Yes. So usually for refinancing, right, the customer would be able to stretch the loan tenure to up to age 75 years. So at the point of purchase is up to 65. So example, today the client is 45 years old. So he bought this property. So technically he can only get 25 years loan tenure. So after 2 years, he has a balance of 23. When he does a refinancing, he can actually stretch another 10 years to 33 years. So monthly installment drop will be quite substantial because, like I was giving an example for Mr. Tan, by just 5 years, he has a difference of $800. Imagine if you have a stretching on the loan tenor over 10 years, and the amount of interest you're paying is just a bit more. Yeah.
Wow, cool.
It all adds up. And I think what we are trying to share with people is it all adds up. We're not talking small sums. It's not $50. It's not $80. If you can save 800, 500, 800 a month, I mean, think about it every month. Automatically you save that amount. You can put the cash aside. There's so many things you can do with that money.
And especially in like this.
Yeah.
And especially in times like this, where economy is uncertain. I think every bit counts, and whatever we save, it's definitely good.
Yeah. Okay. So what else do you have? What I think I saw some other thing in your slide.
Yeah. So maybe I can just share the slides again. Then okay. So this is about installment. Another thing is that some people might want to have some additional cash on hand. So this is one of the common thing when we do a refinancing. If it's a private property, if the property has already appreciated, right, they can actually do a cash out from property. So example, maybe they bought the property at 2 million. Now the property has increased in terms of valuation to 2.5. So there is this buffer of 500K, which technically they can potentially cash out about 300K for them to utilize or to invest on something else which has a high return. And the next thing is that customers who wants to do refinancing or probably decoupling or part purchase on their existing private to buy another property without doing ABSD. So these are the common things when people are looking to do refinancing. They are looking at cash out or decoupling on their existing property. Okay, then lastly, like what we was going through earlier on, that was a hoo-ha with the banks. So what you need to make sure was that you need to know what is the floor rate set by the banks. Some banks has a floor rate of 0%. Some bank has a floor rate of 0.85. So you want to know what is their floor rate. So most banks, what I see is 0%. So even if SIBOR goes into negative, example negative 0.5, the banks will still maintain the SIBOR rate at 0%. Yeah. So these are the things customers probably want to take note of when they are doing refinancing, like whether they excuse the waiver clause, partial repayment, the loan tenor, doing cash out on the existing property to have additional cash flow as well. And lastly, the SIBOR floor rate.
Okay. So many helpful tips, Kenneth. We have to prepare you because in a few minutes we're going to open the time to the audience. Whoever who has any questions, they can ask questions. All right. Now, Kenneth told me you can ask him any question. He's ready. He's steady. You can ask him difficult questions. All right. You can ask him simple questions. Whatever questions you have about mortgage loans, mortgage rate, how to broker for a better deal. If there are specific concerns that you may have, even for your own refinancing, just go ahead and ask. All right. Okay. In the meantime, while you people are preparing the questions you're going to ask, we want to tell you to like our page. We have a special bonus for you today. All right. So if you're with us, we have a special bonus for you. Like our page, send us your name and email address to this link, and we will send you a simple guide on how to crisis-proof your property and save your home, right? It includes topics like learn how to refinance, save lots of money, how to secure your tenants now and be stress-free, right? Now, if you want that free e-guide, you need to go here and you need to give us your name and email and you can get it, all right? Now, Kenneth, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. I already see a few questions coming in. And there's one question by Alex Toh.
Correct. Hold on, let me pull out the question. Okay, so Alex asked, for refinancing, documentation are required that they need to be employed. That means your income documents. But what if people are not able to work or they are doing jobs whereby there's no CPF contribution? You know, how do you get around such cases? Is there any exception?
Yes. For previously, we just did refinancing for a client. If the property is for owner occupied, the TDSR criteria is not met, right? So for that client specifically, they couldn't meet the 60% TDSR. So the TDSR was actually at 300%. So we actually managed to do a refinancing for the client. But for Alex example, what I can think of is that it's still possible to do a refinancing, but potentially the banks want to know whether the client has some cash or CPF to service the loan for the next 24 months in order for them to bring their existing loan to the new banks. Yeah.
So it is possible.
It is still possible because our government came up with a few new measures as well that says that for owner occupied, they are not subjected to TDSR, and the bank are to waive off the TDSR. And for even for investors, before this COVID-19, for investment properties whereby if you can't meet the TDSR, right, you need to pay down 3% of your principal sum. Now, MAS has also mentioned that they will scrap this, and
Oh,
they do not need to pay 3% down from the principal sum to refinance. The banks are also able to accept that.
oh,
So
okay.
a lot more flexibility.
Yes, there's more flexibilities from the banks that they actually MAS have introduced all these measures to help our fellow Singaporeans, like deferment,
Mm,
lifting up the owner occupied criteria without subject to TDSR, investment property. You do not need to do a debt reduction program anymore. So
mm.
it's all this all these measures are put in to help everyone tide through this next 6 to 7 months. So I think our government is really doing a very good job by providing all these resource available for people to reach out to make sure that they will be able to cope within the next 6 to 7 months.
Good luck. Okay, so we're waiting for more people to ask more questions. If you have any questions, you're coming in, you're listening in, and I want you to ask questions, whatever questions you may have, so that Kenneth can help and answer. So we all know what's happening. All right, the pandemic is here. We don't know. There's so many questions. We really don't know what's going to happen in the short term. There's so many views, but one thing is for sure: you can save money today if you
Yes.
refinance a property well. There can be a
Mm,
lot of thoughts about in your mind, but you can refinance and save money and save lots of it. So if no one has any question, Kenneth, I want to ask you a very important question. Because I had this challenge many years ago, right? And I was quite stressed out. So I want to ask you, how many months of reserve, all right, in terms of CPF and cash, how many months of reserve do you think anyone should have as a safeguard?
I would say usually based on our experience for age group which is 30 plus, we advise them to have maybe a safeguard of 12 months of cash
Yeah,
or CPF for raining days. But
yeah,
what we see in age group 40 to 50, usually they have 24 months of reserve
yeah,
in terms of CPF or cash for the monthly installment or even more. Because some of our clients, what we see is that we always encourage them to have set aside reserve in their CPF or cash for raining days so that like what we are going through now, this COVID-19, if our government has not given us the deferment, so if you have a loss of job, you will not be able to service your money installment within the next 6 months.
mm.
Okay, I see. I see another question in the post there by Raphael.
Yes. So Rafael is asking, is it advisable that we should apply for mortgage loan first before we change our job?
Ooh.
Okay, so this is a slightly more tricky question. I would say it depends whether your new job actually pays you more.
Mhm.
Because even if you have a change of job and your salary is higher than your previous job, the banks will still be able to assess based on your new salary. And of course, if your new job, the salary that might have some difference, you might want to secure your refinancing or purchase or apply your mortgage loan before you change your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once you change your job, would the bank immediately recognize, like, is there a certain number of months that you need to be in the new job first before the bank will take into account your new
Okay.
salary?
Based on our experience, right, it depends on the company level. So if it's a MMC companies, usually we try before just 1 month of salary, the banks are able to recognize. But if
Mm,
it's a SME level, I would think that most banks are more comfortable with at least seeing 3 months of CPF contribution, 3 months of salary crediting before they recognize the salary
mm,
from the company.
okay.
Okay, good one. Right.
So
Louise, you want to say something?
no, so Rafael, hope that answer your question. Yes. Yeah. So thanks for sharing. I like no, sorry. Kenneth, I have another question.
Sure.
Before the rest of people ask, so how do I go about sourcing for the best deal possible for mortgage? Like I have so many banks, and I have fixed, I have cyber. So how do I go about doing that?
Okay. I would say the most simple ways is to talk to us. Then we present to them whatever is the lowest interest rate in the market available. And
Hmm.
because for interest rate market, some customers might not be familiar with the different bank jargon, like there's fixed, there is floating, and
Hmm.
under floating, we actually has fixed deposit rate, bank spot rate, as well as HIBOR package. So we can actually explain to customer what's the difference between these three packages.
Hmm.
Like for fixed deposit rate and bank spot rate and comparing SIBOR, out of these three floating package, right, SIBOR will be more transparent, which you can see on the news or newspaper, what is the SIBOR rate today and how has it been performing. Comparing to bank spot rate or fixed deposit rate, which they do not have transparency, so this two package is usually determined by the banks.
Hmm.
Fixed deposit rate was actually very popular about 3 or 4 years ago when the banks just started launching this package. But what a lot of customers have this misconception was that fixed deposit rate, they thought was similar to a fixed rate. So
Hmm.
they were very happy, they secured a very low interest rate at maybe 1.3% plus. But over the 2 years, when they suddenly received the letters from the bank saying that, oh, your fixed deposit rate has increased from how much to how much, they was actually caught off guard that they didn't know that fixed deposit rate is not a fixed rate, is a floating package and is subject to changes. So these are the things when you engage a mortgage broker like us, we will explain to you in details like what's the difference between a fixed and a fixed deposit rate, SIBOR package and bank spot rate.
I see. Okay.
Okay, there's another question.
So talk to Kenneth, okay? If you want the best rate out there, later we'll show the QR code again so that you can take down his number and call him. Okay, we have some more questions here. This is by Clemens. Let's see. Which one is advisable, CPF or cash for bank loan repayment?
Okay, so this is okay. So it depends on individual because if you see the interest rate is at pretty low now, is 1% and if you leave your money in your CPF OA, right, technically you are generating about 2.5% per annum. So if you have the ability, I would advise to use cash for the bank loan repayment so that you can leave whatever in your CPF amount to be your reserve or to technically earn a higher interest rate of 2.5% per annum. Because a lot of people might not be aware, like example today, if you use your CPF to pay for your mortgage loan, sorry, basically you incur this thing called accrued interest,
Good interest.
compound over the 5 or 10 years. So when at the point of time when you are selling your property, then you realize that a huge sum of your sales proceeds need to go back to CPF as accrued interest. So my advisable is that if you have the cash, use cash to pay for the monthly installment rather than to use CPF to pay, and let your CPF work harder for you to earn the 2.5% interest.
But that's very contrarian because most times when you're at the coffee shop talking to your friends, most people will say, yeah, use your CPF, right? It's sitting there idle. Keep your cash for rainy days, keep your cash for holidays. True, isn't it? Most people don't think that way because they don't
Yeah.
think, I accrue interest, I get 2.6%. If I sell, I must pay back.
Yeah.
It's very contrarian to think CPF first and it's very contrarian to think cash first and then use the CPF. Most people will think, hey, use CPF, keep the cash for car, keep the cash for shirt, keep the cash for holidays and stuff like that. Okay, so Kenneth, we want to ask you a very, for me, I want to
Okay.
ask you a difficult question. Now, the government has said, okay, we can put off bank loans for 6 months, the interest payments for 6 months. Banks will allow a 6-month deferment. A lot of the government is trying to give as much support to a lot of Singaporeans as possible.
Yes.
Now, is there a situation if I don't pay my monthly mortgage, will the bank cause a default?
I would say with this, I mean, in the event, of course, if you don't pay your installment for like 2, 3 months or even up to 6 months,
Yeah.
there is, I would say the banks will definitely still want to recover. So they usually have a so-called, maybe they will give you some time and negotiate, can you make some payment before they actually repossess the property. So
Okay.
in that's why I think one of the good reason why government is coming up with this different payment scheme is to prevent banks for repossessing any properties in this climate.
Yeah. But I want to ask as a layman, where is
Mm-hmm.
that line? Where is that line? And you know what
Okay.
I'm asking, right? Where is
Yeah.
that? When will the bank say, okay, you know what, we have default?
I would
There,
say uh I would say maybe if you default for more than 6 months or 9 months, that is where the banks will start to take action, issue you a letter of demand. Because I think that is a standard process before the banks can repossess the property. And to be frank, I think the banks nowadays also do not want to go into this action to repossess. Why?
what?
Because there is a lot of so-called costs involved. They need to send you a letter of demand for a certain phase
Mm,
before they can force entry into your property, before they can repossess. Even after they repossess, they need to put up into auction all this, and
Mm,
they are all these are all fees to be payable by somebody. And
mm,
today, if they repossess the property, and because of all these fee incur, when they sell the property, it might not be sufficient to cover back whatever the banks had lent out to this uh, borrower or mortgagor of the property.
okay.
mm,
Yeah.
I think that's important because I think we want to prepare everyone that's listening. We're not trying to say the market is going to keep going up and up. We have to prepare everybody for worst case scenarios, right? What
Yeah.
happens? So that's why I think earlier in our conversation we mentioned about you should have a reserve CPF and cash reserve of somewhere between 12 months to 24 months because that's a safety net that you need. It's good to have because you just mentioned the banks may take 6 to 9 months before they take action. So if you have a reserve of 12 to 24 months, you're fairly more on the safe side, right?
mm.
Okay.
So that's the thing, lah. So now I want to ask you a follow-up question. Yeah, I got all these tough questions. Now, if I've just bought a property maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, and then I've for the last 1 or 2 years the market has been going up. But if let's say, for example, the market
Okay.
goes south, it goes
Okay.
down 30%, right? But I've been locked into my mortgage loan. I've heard in the grapevine that when property market goes down and your market value of your property goes down, is it true that the banks will come and ask you for a top up?
I think that only happened in 1998 back then,
Yeah,
whereby the leverage of loan, because back then I understand that when initially the banks lending out was 100%, then for
yeah,
100% they reduced to 90%. Because in the good old days, right, the loan amount the banks are able to grant are a lot higher.
yeah,
So I think another safety net our government have make placed in is that they actually have reduced the loan quantum. Because
yes.
2 years ago in 2018, 5th of July,
Mm,
the government came up with additional TDSR measure. One
yeah,
of the important thing is that they actually reduced the loan quantum
yeah,
from 80% to 75%. So these are probably safety net for the banks really. So the banks have like instead of like 20% safety net, now they have 25. And
Mm,
usually the banks wouldn't revalue your property for no reason. Because imagine like the local banks, they have like uh, a few 100,000 of properties in their portfolio. They
yeah,
wouldn't know which property has the valuation has dropped.
Yeah.
So unless you have been defaulting your property and you are unable to pay, and that the banks are concerned, oh, this customer is not able to pay promptly, have missed 2 to 3 times, and maybe we should do a revaluation on property to ask the customer top up. Because I think that the banks will also do not want to incur such costs, that getting a valuer to value a property, that whether this property has value has decreased. Because imagine there is 100 or 200 over thousand or 300 over thousand or 1 million thousand financed by the banks. Which one should they choose? Should they revalue all properties, or should they only revalue certain properties? What if they value such properties, they incur such costs, but the property price did not came down? So it's not beneficial to the banks. I don't think the banks will want in to get customer top up, because you will upset the customer. Then same thing, you will cause a big hoo-ha again in the market. Then that is where people will start to feedback to our regulation department again.
Okay.
Principle again.
I mean, I think this is commonly low, that we are very good in giving feedbacks to our governments, like what is happening, da 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 da. Yeah. So I doubt nowadays there's any banks who want to pull this kind of stunt in this current market as well.
Okay. Okay. Well, Kenneth, there's another question from Alex. So back to just now when you shared about the accrued interest, to take note of it. So Alex is asking, but what if there's no intention to sell the house? Does the accrued interest still apply?
Yes.
Yes, as long as you are using CPF, the accrued interest will forever be there.
Correct.
Even if you don't sell, the accrued interest will just continue to compound over 10 to 20 years, or even up to 30 years. Only if I recall correctly, only after age 55 or 55, if I'm not wrong, this one you need to double check with the CPF. They can lift up the CPF charge on the property, but that is when you are over 55. Then you can potentially lift up. Then that's where potentially the accrued interest stop as well.
Maybe just one point to add, Alex. If you want to know how much, if you have already used CPF on your current property, if you want to check, you can actually log into your CPF, and find out where the amount of accrued interest that have already been accumulated on the amount of CPF that you use. So then you can do some calculation. Or if not, reach out to us, or Kenneth, then we can always share with you more if you need more clarification on this topic.
Yeah.
And I think what we want to say to everybody is, don't be in a spot, right? That's the whole purpose of crisis proving your property. Don't be in a spot where the bank has to send you letters of demand. I think this is a good time for everybody who's a property owner or a property investor to think, am I safe for the next 1 to 2 years? And decide what we need to do, right? Okay, so Kenneth, we really want to thank you. You've given us a lot of tips. We thank you very much for taking your time, for being with us. Now, if you're listening,
thanks for having me as well.
Don't go yet, right? Don't go yet, right? So if you're listening in, and I mean, look, I've learned even the simple thing like a waiver clause and all this. If you've learned a lot, I want you to just type "Thank you, Kenneth" in the comment section. Let Kenneth know that his time and effort has been appreciated. So I want everyone who's listening in, if you're still there, I want you to just type, "Thank you, Kenneth, for your time. Thank you for everything." Now, for those of us who are still listening in, right, we have a special bonus for everyone who's listening. If you want the special bonus, just like our page, send us your name and address to this link, and we will send you our simple guide on how to crisis-proof your property and save your home. It's very important that you learn how to refinance, save lots of money. So if you're an investor, secure your tenants now and be stress-free, right? Be creative with the use of space so that you can get better paying tenants. Do whatever you need to do so that you are safe and secure. We want to thank everybody who's come. So the link is right there. Just click on the link, send us your name, and we will send you this e-guide. So here we are. We want to thank everybody who has joined us. Thank you, Kenneth.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. This is Louis, and I am David. We are part of Rich Property. We want to wish everyone every success. Be richer in everything that you do so that you have a very blessed life. We have come to the end of our current series, but don't worry, we are coming back with a brand new series with new changes, and look for us in the third quarter of 2020. Until then, we see you. Say
Bye,
bye.
everyone. Thank you. See you around.
Maybe I can just flash one last slides
Oh,
for
yeah,
everyone
sure. Go ahead.
who want to reach out to us.
Okay.
They can click their
QR
mobile.
Just
Get,
forgot.
yeah, no. So they
No
can
one
just
will
on this QR code to reach out to us. So my
Okay.
colleague will, if they have any questions which they are shy to post in the comment box, they can just feel free to reach us by scanning this QR code. One of my colleagues will actually touch base with them within the next 1 to 2 working days to advise them if they have any questions on refinancing or new purchase.
Mm.
All right. So
Thanks,
the
Kenneth.
QR code there for everybody.
Everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. See you around.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.